Hey everyone, and welcome back to another installment in our ongoing new figure showcase series, where I do a quick unboxing and review on a figure I'm adding into my collection. And look, for this particular episode, I did think about making this part of the retrospective review series, but it's a recent pickup for me, so he definitely falls into my new figure category. So for today's episode, we'll be looking at the 6-scale version of Cable based on his appearance in Deadpool 2. So it's a figure I was always interested in, but I had kind of convinced myself to stick with the MCU proper. Of course, one of the benefits of the current multiverse saga is that essentially everything from Fox has become canon of some sort or another, so Cable was a natural pickup eventually. Although I did wait for him to go on sale and managed to snag him for a 35% discount, and with points that I had, he was basically almost free. So at that price point, I'll tell you right now, I'm probably going to be super happy with this guy. Just being honest, sometimes your happiness with a piece goes hand in hand with how much you spent for him. So, I like Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds always kills it in the role, and honestly, I like the way Josh Brolin played this version of Cable. Is it the Cable we know from the comics? Yes and no, more leaning towards the no part obviously, as he underwent a big redesign for the film from a visual perspective and also from a storyline perspective, which is very different from his introduction in the comics. But it's a version of Cable, and I do think if the MCU is smart, they could still give us an awesome, more comic, accurate Cable story down the line, but we'll see how the next few movies do. But for now, this is our cinematic Cable, and visually he looks pretty cool and does have that intensity I always imagined that the character would have. Now, this is the Sideshow exclusive version that includes the shield, but other than that, identical to the standard. So let's take a look and see what Hot Toys gave us here. And this is actually a really nice overall release. So you get the standard display stand, a poncho for a nice alternate look, the massive rifle along with a grenade launcher and sidearm, and then some other accessories like the teddy bear and the time travel device, and a bunch of items that you have to attach to his vest. So a little throwback to Hot Toys in their military figure days. Fortunately, this isn't as involved as those figures, but some of it, but overall, it's a really nice standout package, and that special edition shield actually looks pretty cool. So let's jump into the accessories, and we're going to start with our typical look at the hands. So his right hands are fairly standard, gripping and fisted hands, while the figure comes equipped with a relaxed hand. They're solid pieces with a decent paint app and details on the glove. You do have to also look closely to really appreciate the paint apps, because there is some nice, almost ghosted in texturing that really pops. But the highlight here are the mechanical hands for his left arm. You get two versions, one with gloves and one without. The gloved hands have the same great paint app on the glove, but the mechanical fingers pop. But the real highlight are the fully exposed ones. There's just so much great detail work on these, and they almost look like they could be articulated, but paint looks great, and they're a little different than the standards that Hot Toys gives us, so nice touch. Next up, the highlight piece, I think, is the huge rifle Cable ends up putting together. Now, there are so many components here that it's difficult to put together what gun parts you have, although I think part of it is that distinctive crisp vector modded up with a wood-looking stock that has some fabric elements to it, so nice use of mixed media. And then you've got a number of scope attachments on the top rail, as well as an underslung grenade launcher. And the primary muzzle actually looks to be part of a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle. So it's a total mix of components, making a pretty insane looking weapon. And of course, on the opposite side, you do get some futuristic readouts, but the gun looks pretty awesome and definitely has that intimidation wow factor that you would expect of Cable. You also do get a few spare magazine pouches that you have to hook onto the vest. I do like that they're not the same color because it jives with the time-traveling post-apocalyptic look for the character. So just an awesome piece overall. But they're not the only weapons we're getting with it. You get an independent grenade launcher, a pistol, and a knife, although the knife doesn't come with a sheath for it, which is a little bizarre. Because there's no place to really house it, but detail work again phenomenal. Grenade launcher has some nice color variation between the metallic gray for most of the body and the more dark black of the barrel, and I like the taped up handle. Everything is molded but looks distinctive and menacing. And then his pistol, which is a Walther PPQ that just visually looks distinctive and menacing. Sorry, that looks, I think I already said that, but it just looks impressive, right? And it has that same menacing look that you'd anticipate for Cable. Only thing I wish, and it's just from experience with other companies, is that they had been able to stamp the gun with the corresponding logos. Look, you'd have to look super close to notice something like that, so it's not a deal breaker at all, but just something that would have added a little something extra. And of course, you get two spare clips that slip into the holster, the holders on his belt, and then the knife, which actually has a lot of great detail work on the handle with the different textured bits, and the blade looks to be well done with a nice tapered edge. So really great kit here. Now, as far as other accessories, you get a couple. You get a bomb that he can hold that has some nice detail work and paint app. Then you get his wrist time travel controller. That is awesome with all the fine detail work on the interior and the complexity there. Honestly, I'm kind of impressed with how Hot Toys did the paint app here because there's no bleed and it just looks crisp. Next accessory is awesome, and that's his daughter's burnt up teddy bear that he grabs from the rubble of his home. First of all, a high impact accessory to his story, and visually great to see such an intimidating soldier carrying a reminder of his family and what has been done to them, and it looks great with the paint app recreating the burnt look. And finally, you get some grenades for the grenade launchers that also look good. And final accessory, his shield, which is again the exclusive. So it's funny, at first I thought it would be a little on the cheaper side, like the shield that came with the Endgame Iron Man, but this is actually a nice sturdy plastic. And I love the color gradients with the darker yellows at the edges and the lighter field within, as well as the bullet impact effects on the surface. Really nice piece, and of course the honeycomb pattern underneath, really creating that image of interlocking parts that makes up the shield. It just creates a really nice looking accessory. Now, let's jump into the sculpt. Honestly, I have to say I think it's pretty solid. I don't think it's 100% there, but it's close. The other thing before jumping into some of the features, the light does hide a ton of the great paint work that's been done and the paint apps. So like the freckling on the skin tends to be just kind of lost, but in hand it looks incredible. Now, I love the eyes with the squinting look and the detail work on the wrinkles and facial hair, as well as the haircut, all really awesome. Paint apps on the eyes too, very realistic looking, and without a doubt the highlight has to be the scar over his right eye. It was definitely an interesting way of recreating that distinctive cable look with the 3 lines over the eyebrow, creating that kind of star pattern, and then I love the big scar underneath. Just a really great job here. Now, there is a light up feature for his eye, so it's very similar to the system we saw with Moon Knight and Ghost Rider, where you actually remove the sculpt from a socket that contains the LED light, the on-off switch, and the housing for the button cell batteries. Look, it's a hassle, and I'm glad Hot Toys is moving towards the USB, because are you really going to go through all this work to turn on the eye with batteries that are going to die soon? Not really. And even for me, because this is an older release, the batteries were dead, so I couldn't even test out the feature. So I'm sorry about that. But let's look at the rest of the figure. And he's great. Again, different design from the comic Cable and more in line with Josh Brolin, so you're not getting that crazy built-up jacked character from the books. But the body pose as well, although my legs are a little on the loose side. Not sure if that's age-related, so I will be using the stand with him. And he does have exposed joints. On the mechanical arm, it's not noticeable at all, and Hot Toys did a killer job blending the joint into the arm mechanism. But you do see the exposed joint on his right arm. Frankly, I don't mind joints, and this poses really well with ratcheted elements, so no complaints from me. Clothing is simple with a very nice looking tactical vest, a brown t-shirt, and then a belt and some gray cargo pants dying into nice split cut boots. It's not overly complex by any means, but it looks great and I think stands out visually. Now, you can remove the shirt, which is a little stressful, to be honest. At first, I was trying hard not to rip anything, but you can do that to expose the body underneath, which is another highlight from Hot Toys, because you get to see all the awesome robotic elements on his chest, back, neck, and arm, along with the scar tissue where the machine meets flesh. It's really impressive, and I'm glad Hot Toys didn't cheap out and actually gave this to us. It gives you a great display option, although for me, the tactical look is really going to be the way to go, but it's an awesome look for the figure. And beyond that, you also get the poncho, which fits easily on the neck, and you can position it to have it drape all sorts of ways to give you different looks. And I do like it because it adds something extra to the figure's appearance. Now, the big gun also connects to the back via pretty strong magnets, and it gives you a great overall look. Shield also does add some extra special bits, so it's just really great overall. There really are a ton of display options here, and honestly, I mean, he could be a figure that fits in well with a variety of collections just based on his appearance. But for me, I just don't know which display option to go with, whether the poncho or just the straight up tactical look, because either way he looks great. Overall, I am really happy that I finally managed to snag this figure, and look, he's still available at Sideshow. This is one of those figures that seems to have been overproduced by a bit, so you can definitely get him. If you get a chance, I would recommend getting the special edition, which is easily the way to go to get that extra accessory, especially at the same cost. But the one thing I will say, you don't have to pay full price for this one. If you are even tempted, just wait for a 35% discount from Sideshow or some kind of deal, because there's no need to pay full price for this guy. He's been hanging around in stock for a while at this point, so I'm sure he's going to be heavily discounted and continue to be part of these deals that they're offering. Although for me personally, even if I had paid full price for him, as a Marvel fan, I would have probably been happy. So look, that was a quick look at the 6 scale cable from Deadpool 2 based on Josh Brolin's appearance. It's a figure I initially passed on, but I'm really happy that I had the chance to pick him up because he's an awesome figure and a piece that fits in well with Marvel, fits well with the MCU, especially with Deadpool coming to the MCU now. And it's something that I would recommend to anyone if you're even remotely interested because it's that solid. So let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thanks for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.